Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by silent co-host Ludwig von B. It's been a while since I've made one of these music reviews, and it's partially that, I was kind of thinking about retiring from this whole YouTube thing, if retiring is the right word. I'm someone who's trying to minimize the amount of time I'm on social media, addictive modern technology, especially as someone who likes the experience of engaging with, media in physical form, CDs, records, and so on. I also didn't think it was great for my mental health the way this created a sort of compulsive feeling in me, the sense that, whenever I listened to a CD, I had to pay extra close attention and make notes so that I could film a video. And, I'm someone who's always coming up with projects to do, so I don't need to give myself more to do. At the same time, my experience of abandoning a thing completely was just too uncomfortable. I'm hoping I can find a nice balance, doing this enough that it's exciting and not so much that it's a compulsion. I don't know if I'll ever find that balance or I'll just sort of gyrate between extremes. But anyway, the album I wanted to talk about today is Ace Frehley's 10,000 Volts. So this past year, I've been getting into Kiss. And ironically, it's because they were coming to town to do a leg of their farewell tour, but then they canceled their show in my city when Paul Stanley got sick for a few days. And the idea that I would never see Kiss made me sad. Kiss are not really quite my type of band, but something about them just left this impression with me. When I was about 10 years old, there was this cartoon show on TV called My Dad, the Rock Star. I didn't even like the show, but it was a show produced by Gene Simmons, and the co-main character was based on Gene Simmons. And it just sort of left this impression in my head that the absolute zenith of rock and roll were these guys who used pyrotechnics and put paint on their face. So basically, ever since I was disappointed by not getting to see them in concert, I started listening to their music a lot more, taking their albums out of the library, bought a few of my own, and that's how I came across Ace Frehley's recent solo album. So Ace Frehley was the original lead guitarist of Kiss, the one known as the Spaceman or the Space Ace, and apparently he's been putting out solo material for quite a while. This one just came out, which is why, very unusually for an album from the public library, it is in pristine condition. So Frehley left Kiss in 1982, and from what I see, he's done a decent amount of solo work. So I haven't listened to much else of his solo stuff, so I may be missing context here. But with that in mind, this is my experience listening to his solo record. So this album is called 10,000 Volts. It's the first song on the album, and it kind of describes the sonic tone of the whole thing, at least the first few songs on it. This album is rich with distorted guitars. However, unlike other hard rock songs, it doesn't put noise over melody and lyrics. Rather, it places them side by side. Frehley's voice is appropriately mixed. It's clear and it's surprisingly warm. So rather than it coming across straightforwardly as loud rock music, what it comes across is sort of more moderate rock music, but then with this kind of electrical explosion in the background. The distorted guitar kind of sounds like there's static sparks coming out of you, like Ace Frehley's song is about to explode. Ace Frehley's career kind of resembles George Harrison in that he entered the band as seemingly the quiet one. He wasn't doing any lead singing, but as the band developed, his personality came to be known. He had quite some success doing a solo record while still within Kiss, and gradually his identity became more than just lead guitarist, and he began to identify as singer-songwriter. But I'd say the big difference between George Harrison and Ace Frehley is that George Harrison seemingly lost interest in being a lead guitar player. He kind of was happy to just be the songwriter, the lyricist guy writing vocal-centric music. Whereas it's clear with Ace Frehley, from this record at least, that he really maintained both identities. There are a lot of great little riffs between the choruses and verses on the songs, especially on the song Walking on the Moon. So Ace truly plays both roles. So let's talk about the actual songs. I'd say of the music I like, maybe the closest comparison here is Boston. Closest comparison here is Boston. Now, More Than a Feeling, I feel like, is one of the most perfectly recorded songs of all time. And the songs on here are not more than a feeling. As I was saying earlier, it's like there's this electric static coming out in the background. So it's almost like a rustic version of Boston. I mean, you wouldn't call it rustic because it's like electric, futuristic, but you know what I mean. It's this sort of charming imperfection. There's a sort of messiness in the background, like he's trying to do too much at once. He's trying to both do these fancy loud guitar bits and have this catchy pop song, and he manages to balance them both, and it creates a messy but distinct and ultimately charming sounds. So I don't actually love the title song, 10,000 Volts, and it basically does this thing that I've noticed happens sometimes in hard rock where somehow the verse is more melodic than the chorus. The chorus is just chanting, "She hit me like 10,000 volts." It's a decent opener, it's just not my favorite song on the album. And the theme of that song and of a lot of the songs on here is the kind of message of, I can't believe I made it in the rock star lifestyle and someone loves me and I'm going to be grateful for that person, and I'm not going to let myself lose them. So that theme is continued onto track 2, Walking on the Moon. And this one I like a lot better. I really like how Ace's New York accent, which is very pronounced in interviews, comes out. You know, there's some unique pronunciations on this one, like the way he says, consumed. He kind of channels that young, cool, bad boy but innocent vibe of like early Ashton Kutcher or Keanu Reeves movies. Track 3 is called Cosmic Heart. So this is a throwback to his Kiss persona of the spaceman. And there's certainly some cheesiness to this one. So there's like backup singers in the background while he's singing with this intense rock star voice. So I guess it's sort of like rock and roll music for everyone. Rock and roll music that has become innocent again. Track 4 on this album is my absolute favorite. It's called Cherry Medicine. I feel like it's the tightest composition of them all, and it's just a fun, unusual metaphor. You know, one usually talks about candy or flowers or whatever is a sweet thing. Medicine, however, can taste good, and it heals you. Obviously, you don't want to be consuming medicine as a candy, but it's sort of like this secret, pleasant thing, like this perfect salvational love he's discovered. Track number 5, Back Into My Arms Again, kind of sounds like something one of the Beatles would do in their solo career. Like, it's not quite John or George or Paul, but yeah, and it made me think of them again. Track number 6, Fighting for Life, is more of like a Bon Jovi kind of thing. And then track number 7, Blinded, gives us a protest song about the increasing powers of computers and how most lay people, if not all people, are kind of left in the dark because we don't know how to respond to the problem of the increasingly automated world because we feel underqualified. I feel oftentimes when we're faced with questions of the ethics of AI, many people just become nihilistic and fall back on the response of progress is inevitable. This is the future. This is how it's going to be. And this song forces us to ask the question, well, maybe we don't have to accept that. Track number 8, Constantly Cute, brings back that sentimental rock star side, maybe not as hard rocking as the other stuff on here. Track number 9, Life of a Stranger, continues that theme. Track number 10, Up in the Sky, kind of a similar protest dynamic to Blinded, and continuing the message of, you know, we don't really know what's going on. It feels like there's some mysterious higher power at play, almost hinting at alien conspiracy theories because of the largeness of the problems affecting human society. And then track number 11 is a space age instrumental, Stratosphere. So for those interested in the Ace persona, and in my limited experience watching him do interviews while he was with Kiss, seemed like a fun guy, and it's a shame he didn't get to be in that band longer, but then again, it seems like he's put out a lot of interesting solo work. You know, it's not absolutely my favorite album because, again, I'm much more a sort of singer-songwriter folk rock guy than a hard rock guy. But as I hinted at the beginning of this video, there's always this temptation in me to want to like hard rock stuff like Kiss because I love the flair of it. I love the intensity of the performances, the melodrama sometimes. And I think this record marks a pretty good compromise between those two worlds because, again, Frehley's vocals are clear. You can tell exactly what he's singing about. Lots of these songs have real melody to them. They're not just about noise, but then they bring in the noise to give them a kind of cartoonish intensity as well. So yeah, I think that's a recommendation for this one. Check out 10,000 Volts by Ace Frehley. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig von B. See you next time.